Howdy do, I just wanted to do a quick review on this phone. It's the Sonim XP5s on the Verizon network. This day and age, I can usually find at least a half a dozen review on just about any phone that I'd be considering buying, but for some reason there was almost no information available on this one other than just the manual being on the Verizon website and just a few very basic videos that just pretty much showed a 360-degree view of the phone. Other than that, there was just very little information as far as actual user reviews, and I ended up having to buy one just to play with it and see what the phone is all about, and I thought I'd share that with you. There's a couple of things that really intrigued me about this phone, and I'll show you where I'm coming from. This is my old phone. It's a LG NV3. This phone is probably about 12 years old. And it's a very basic phone, but when you open it up, it's got a keyboard, and it's just really nice to be able to touch a real keyboard and be able to enter text messages that way, because this day and age people text a lot and it's just very hard to type ABC on a regular keypad anymore. And most basic phones, that's what you have to do. You have to type messages with a regular keypad. And so my first replacement phone was this one, which is a Cosmo communicator. It's a great phone, actually. I highly recommend it. Although it's a little bit big, you open this up and compare that to the LG NV3, it's a lot bigger. It's a lot bigger phone. It's a lot more weight to carry around, and it's quite an expensive phone. It's about $500, and then of course it's an Android phone, so it's got all the tracking gizmo going on and not very good battery life. And so I really was looking for something basic, just that is also suitable for texting. And at some point I thought, Bluetooth, almost every phone has Bluetooth, and maybe I can just get a Bluetooth keyboard and so it turns out that actually this is the only phone that I could find that is a basic phone and supports a Bluetooth keyboard. So I've paired it with this keyboard, so let's see if it'll connect. So see, now on the Bluetooth sign you see that it has the two dots next to the Bluetooth. That means the keyboard is connected, and sure enough it works. But it does have a couple of bugs, like let's say if I go to text messages and if I want to type a phone number, I just type in a random number. Oh, so that's the first issue right there. If you have it set to ABC, then it's gonna type, even if I type numbers, it's gonna type letters. So you have to set it to the numbers setting. Make sure at the top here it says the 1 2 3. Now I can actually type a number. Did I get the right number of numbers? I think so. And so now I can type a number, I can type a text message, and I can type numbers. But there's another bug here. So if I do shift, say Z, I can get a capital Z just fine, but if I do shift and a number, I just get the number. So that's bug number 2, I would say, is that if you do shift and a number, you only get the number instead of getting the symbol that's above the number. And then also I think the 1 2 3 or ABC at the top should only apply to the keypad, but not to the Bluetooth keyboard. And there's another bug, actually. If you want to enter something, whether you do it through the Bluetooth keyboard or the regular keyboard, it's very hard to enter an @ sign. Like normally you can send a text message to an email, and if you have this in ABC mode, let me put this in the go up here in ABC mode, then if I press 1 2 3 4 5 6, I have to press the 1 key 6 times, then I get an @ But if let's say I wanted to send something to test 1 2 3 4 test, and I want to do a @ sign 1 2 3 4. Say, wait, I don't know what happened, but in my 6 times of pressing the 1 key, it just made that test an item in and of itself, and so I'm not able to enter email addresses. The only way that I found that I can enter email addresses here is I first need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times the 1 key, then I go back, and now I can do TES test at whatever, right, some domain. So now I can enter email address, but if you type the email address first and then you try to put the @ sign behind it, the phone doesn't let you. And when you try to do the @ sign through the keyboard, the Shift 2 also doesn't work. You just get a number 2. Other than that, it works fine. I've been using this for a couple of weeks now. I've charged this keyboard only once. It uses almost no battery, so you can use the keyboard for a long time, and if you fold it up, you can just carry it with you. Now it will disconnect from the Bluetooth. There you go, it just disconnected, and when you open it back up, it automatically reconnects, and within 10 seconds or so, it's usually even less, it's ready to go. So that's the keyboard. So it does work, but it's got a couple of bugs. I've contacted Sonim customer support about it, and it's been about a week, and I haven't heard back as far as them actually verifying that there's a bug and that it's gonna be fixed. So I asked them to connect me to second level support, so I'll keep you guys up to date whether or not that's actually getting fixed. Second thing that I thought was interesting about this phone is when you go to the call menu and you press the menu button and you go to call settings and you go to calls, you go to calling accounts, and then you can put a SIP account in here. So this phone actually works with SIP. Even Android phones usually have to install Bria or something like that to be able to do SIP calls, but this phone actually has it built in, and you can even receive calls. Of course, it uses more battery life because you'll be using Wi-Fi or data connection or something like that in order to get connectivity. So it's not as efficient as using a regular cell phone tower, but it does work. Most everything else on the phone is pretty mundane. I think these days the basic phones they all actually use Android, even though that's listed as having a proprietary operating system. It's actually just Android. If you go to System, About Phone, Legal Information, System Licenses, then you can see right here Android is listed, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff. So Sonim actually didn't write a whole lot of this operating system themselves. They mostly used open source software, which is probably for the better, because writing an operating system yourself is pretty hard, and it would probably be pretty bad if they just try to write everything from scratch. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And other than that, it's a good phone. I've had it for a couple of weeks now, and I would say I typically get about a week of battery life on a full charge. So it definitely has very good battery life. And the sound quality is very good. It's got a proprietary connector. That's something that I didn't quite like in the beginning. I like stuff that's generic, that way I can keep all my accessories, my headset and whatever else. But actually the client headset for these phones, you can get them from Sonim. They're $70, but if you just buy one from a third-party reseller, it's still the same headset, but they're about half the price. They're about $35, and a good quality headset. So I think pretty much any headset that you're gonna buy that's a good quality is gonna be that price. So once I figured out that, hey, that's actually not so bad, then this ended up not being a big downside for me. It's also got this emergency button and a push to talk button, which you can reallocate to something else if you're not wanting to use the emergency or the push to talk functions. And it's also got a connector at the top. I think you can put some I don't know what exactly you can put on here. I saw on the XP8 you can get a barcode reader or some other things on there, but for this I'm not really sure what all the phone could do that is compatible with those. Then most everything else on the phone is pretty mundane. It's got this Sonim Scout. You can use that to manage your contacts through a web client, but I don't think it's particularly user friendly. And I just synced my phone with another phone, with an Android phone. If you have an Android phone that syncs with your contacts, then you can sync the contacts between an Android phone and this phone through Bluetooth, and that seems to work reasonably well. Although I'll have to see if you add a couple more contacts to this phone. I don't know how well they sync back. I'll have to try that out. And that's about it. I mean, there's everything else, just pretty basic stuff. Just it does have a mobile hotspot, so even though it doesn't have very many data-centric features of its own, it is capable. You know, it's a true 4G phone, and it can share a data connection, and it can do Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and all that stuff is still there. But there's no app store or anything like that. So whatever apps you get with this, that's what you, which is not very much. That's what you get. There's messaging, File Explorer. Again, if you look in the File Explorer, you'll see that it has an Android file system. This is a 16 gig phone, which I'm not sure what you would do with all the storage space on this phone. I guess you can put some music or something on it, or you can take pictures. It does have a camera. I've never actually used this camera yet. I just as well have it without. Yeah, this happens to me from time to time, that I accidentally push this button and then it goes to the push to talk. By the way, if you're trying to set this up, you'll notice the first thing you get is the terms of service from Verizon, and it's a really long list. And notice there's no button anywhere in there that you can use to actually accept the terms and conditions. And it took me a while to figure out. You have to push this button, the menu button, and now you get the accept or decline. So then you can accept it, and then it's going to launch the service. Except it doesn't, because I've never activated it. But some of those things, these days most phones run Android or iOS, and people know how to navigate that stuff. So if you use a phone like this, it's the controls are a little bit different. Most of them are pretty well thought out, but there's definitely some things like that at least had me stumped for a couple of minutes to see how you get past that screen. Alright, well, that's about it. That's about all I can say about the phone at this time. And so if you have any questions about it, feel free to contact me through the comments.